Hi dear Sitecore family. So uh, we have Akshay Barve again today. Last time we recorded a nice podcast on XM Cloud personalization and the detailing of it,
Yes.
and you know, hopefully it added a lot of value to learning of XM Cloud personalization. And today we are back with Akshay, and we are going to talk about XM Cloud Forms today.
Yes.
So here besides me is sitting somebody who is an expert on XM Cloud, who has been working on XM Cloud for a good amount of time, and let's learn from his experience. He has also recently utilized XM Cloud Forms in one of his client applications, and here he is to share his experience with us. So first off, Akshay, thank you for your time, and well, I would like to start off with you know the the real basics, like what are forms?
Yeah. So Varun, before going to the topic, I would like to thank you for inviting me on this session again. It's always good to talk technology with you, and the number of sessions that you have done is wonderful, and they have always added value. They have always provided some kind of information to your audience, and yeah, I hope we continue to do this.
Well,
And
I'm glad I'm touched. Thank you.
yeah, so now let's get back on the topic. So your question was that what are forms,
Yeah,
right? So
as basic as that.
yeah, so let's start from the basics, because basics always works, right? So forms, I would say that form is a very essential component for any website. It is the basic platform where you are going to ensure that you are going to collect the data from your end users. They are a vital component, and you would not see any website without a form. You would always see a website where there is at least a contact us form is always going to be there, and they basically allow the businesses to collect the user data and drive the engagement further. So I would just say that they are the first building, they are the first key touch point in the user journey, and they help us to build and nurture the customer relationship.
So pretty vital for any business, for that matter.
Yes.
Right. All right. Well, if we go in a little bit of detail, what are XM Cloud Forms?
So basically, XM Cloud Forms are nothing but they are a SaaS based platform. So what Sitecore did is, when XM Cloud was launched initially, we did not had the support for forms in it by default. But
Yeah.
this year on January 25th, I believe, we also have the support of forms, and if you basically see that the forms are an independent application. So if you go and see the URL of the form, it is like forms.sitecorecloud.io.
Similar
And
to the Pages application.
correct,
Yeah.
that is where I wanted to connect. So what Sitecore did is they built their own component builder. Now they have their own forms builder now, and XM apps.sitecore cloud is where the entire XM cloud is being hosted. So yeah, I can say that XM cloud forms are nothing but they are the simple forms only, and
Yeah.
they allow us to build and create the forms.
Right. Well, let's as far as forms and Sitecore goes, we have a long history, right? Like in the past, also we used to have forms. So let's look at the history, like where it started and where we are today. Like we, of course, we are at XM Cloud Forms, but the previous versions, if you could just.
Yeah, so firstly it started with WFFM, right? The first one, and then in Sitecore 9, I think we had the integrated support of Sitecore
Yes, 9.
forms in it, and it is still continuing in the XP world, but for XM Cloud we did not had it, and now we have the forms builder component in it.
Right. So initially WFFM web forms for marketers.
Web forms for marketer.
So
Yep.
it was kind of an installation, additional package or additional marketplace module that you need to install.
Yes, yes. There was series of installation steps that needs to be followed for
Uh-huh.
WFFM, but in Sitecore 9 it was out of the box. That was that we had, and now same goes with XM Cloud also. That
Okay.
The forms builder is an out of box application that would be coming to you, and you can use it without any additional license requirement.
Great.
So that is a great thing that is already inbuilt, and we can do wonders with it. We will discuss it in this podcast that what actually we can do, but believe me or not, it is a game changer for XM Cloud, because for any SaaS based platform to be in the market, it is very important that the forms builder should be there, right? So
Correct.
that is what they have done.
Right. So technically, if I have an XM Cloud license, uh, the way I have pages, the way I have components, I also have forms by default
Forms
available
builder.
to me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then I just need to leverage by creating my own forms into it.
Correct. Correct.
On it. So I'm sure the XM Cloud Forms would have a number of features. Share a couple of them which you like the most.
Yeah. So to start with, XM Cloud Forms Builder is itself a very big tool that they have developed. Uh, uh, we have major functionalities that I would like to cover. Is we have the out of box template builder. So if you want to use the templates that are already been created, there is an option to do so, which will save a lot of time because the template would already be created. I
So
think
what are the default templates available in the template builder?
there are I think five default templates that are currently available, but there is an also option that if you are creating a form and you want to save it as a template, you can do so. So now what it will do basically is, if your site is having 5 forms, right, and you want to reuse the same template. So with template we mean that the background color, the background image, and the styling of the fonts, all that is same. Then you can build the template and save it. The actual fields that are going to be in the form will be varying between the forms, but the entire look and feel will be same. This can also be achieved through the styling mechanism that XM Cloud Form has, but on top of it there is also a builder, the template builder option.
All right. Great. I heard there is something called. So you still not said which couple of
Oh yeah, yeah.
are
So
your favorite.
my favorite would be multi-page form. Then I like the feature of webhooks in form.
Yeah.
Then we have conditional logic, which was again not there, but as and when Sitecore Forms was introduced in XM Cloud, what they have ensured is there is continuous improvement that is going in the background. You will always see that there is some additional feature that is getting added to the forms builder. And as XM Cloud, we know that it is a SaaS based platform,
Correct.
right?
So it's
So
always going
it
to
is
be.
very easy for Sitecore also to do the updates. And one thing I would like to, before going in detail of the features, I would like to talk about that there is, for a development team who is closely working with XM Cloud, there is a URL. They call it as the change log URL, where they are providing the details of the updates that are happening in the background on the daily basis and also on the monthly basis. So what this URL does is it will provide you a detail and brief of all the information that is happening to XM Cloud as a whole, not only in Forms Builder but
Correct.
in Components Builder and in many other tools that XM Cloud has. So I would highly recommend for to all of the developers and the whole team to keep an eye on this URL, where you will be getting the details which will ensure that you are always updated and using the right tools in the right way.
Yep. So I have bookmarked it, and it's for all of you guys. Believe me, that change log is a good URL to have. Of course, we do have the Sitecore updates also available, but then that URL, if you are working on XM Cloud, it's a must bookmark for all of you. Well, let's get back onto the topic. I think when you said you like web hooks, the developer in you spoke it up, I think.
Yep.
I would like to know more about the conditional logic which you said.
Yes. So conditional logic. So now, if you remember, if you have worked on Sitecore Forms on the traditional XP platform, we had the leverage to apply conditional logic in the forms itself, right?
Yeah.
So the conditional logic is nothing but whenever you want to ensure that uh, based on a particular action that is taken by your end user, something should be changed in the form, right?
Correct.
So for an example, what we can take is I have a drop down where I have two options. I am either looking for a candidate or I am looking for a job. Now, as soon as I click I am looking for a candidate, there are certain fields that would be appearing on the form which will be ensuring or taking the details of the required candidate, because I am an hiring manager, and the same applies to the opposite one. Like if I am looking for a job, then the certain fields would be appearing. Another great example is like we have a checkbox where we are just telling our end user that are you willing to opt in for our marketing emails. So now if that checkbox is checked, an email field would be appearing, and in this way we can get the details of that email.
Right.
So this is a great feature to have, and believe me, the number of conditions, the number of group of conditions, the way they have built in, it is very easy to use, and you can create multiple conditions with and or operators. And one major point that when I was exploring conditional logic, I found that if you have a multi-page form, so let me first give you the details of multi-page form also. So XM Cloud Forms has the feature of multi-page form where you can create, where if your form is too lengthy, then you can divide it into multiple pages. So currently I think there are total number of 10 pages in which you can divide your whole forms, and which is considerably a good amount of
More than
pages,
that, I
right?
think people will just, or
Yeah,
the your customers will
they
just
will
run
skip
away.
it, right? So so what it does is it divides your form into multi-page, and out of box validations are also provided. So one of the out of box validation multi-page was that you can add the recaptcha and submit button only on the last page of the form. You cannot add it in between. So that is somewhere. So what they have done is, what XM Cloud team has done is, they have ensured that a form can also be created by a normal marketing person
Yeah.
also, and they have ensured there are validations taking place. Of course, there are few changes where developers would be coming into picture, but at least for the creation of the form and all that can very easily be managed. Now, when we say about multi-page form, it may happen how to link that with the conditional uh, logic, right? So in if I have a multi-page form, on the first page I have few fields, and I want that whatever action that has been taken in those field, there should be a conditional logic that gets applied, and the fields on the fifth page or on the fourth page should be changed. So that is also available in conditional logic. You can also ensure that whatever action that is taken on the first page is triggering some kind of either showing or hiding fields on the fifth page, or either making a field required, or making a required field optional on other pages. So that is why, and this conditional logic was an eye-catching feature for me.
So conditional logic doesn't mean that it can only be applied to multi-page forms. It can also be applied to a simple form.
Of course,
So it is everywhere, but
everywhere.
of course it makes more sense when you like have a multi-page form and then
Correct.
you have multiple fields and you want to just maybe switch some
Tweak
fields with
them.
some other
Yep.
fields. It makes more sense. All right. Well, as far as conditional logic goes, so how is it different from Sitecore Forms conditional logic, or is it on the same lines?
Yeah, it is on the same line. The only difference that I currently see is the personalization. as we have the SaaS based platform, there is no personalization that is getting attached, that we can apply on the conditional
Okay.
logic,
Okay.
at least for now.
For now.
Now we have already done the podcast on XM Cloud personalization capabilities,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So there are few personalizations that are available in XM Cloud, but they are not connected with Forms
Forms.
Builder
As
right
of
now.
now.
It may happen that XM
SaaS
Cloud also has that
in the
feature.
roadmap.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not sure. So can I add my custom conditions to the conditional logic, or do I need to use the conditions which are currently available?
So so if you see, there is no custom condition that would come into picture. Why I am saying this is because you already know that what kind of fields are there in your form, right?
So
Because you
mainly the
have,
conditional condition. Sorry to cut you off there,
yeah,
but it's mainly to hide show fields or switch fields with X or Y,
correct.
right?
That's
And then so you will have an if condition, and
yes.
if this is true, then do this, else do
Yes,
this,
yes. So
right?
there are conditions that can be applied on a text box. If the text box contains X value, then do this. If the text box is blank, then do this. There can be condition on a checkbox. If the checkbox is checked, then do this. If the checkbox is not checked, then do this.
Perfect. So technically, it is foundational enough to take care of most of your cases,
Yes, yes, definitely.
right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, you mentioned webhooks. Let's have a
Yeah.
little.
So first of all,
insights
what
on
is a webhook, right? So I would just make like it is a simple HTTP request that is going to ensure that the data is being sent from the source to the destination system. So with data, we mean the payload that we have in the form, and a webhook is going to ensure that the this process that of sending the data from one system to another system happens automatically in the background. There is no intervention, or there is no manual intervention. It all happens automatically in the background, and the payload gets sent securely to the destination system. One point that I see in that again, one out of the box validation that I see in XM Cloud Forms is that you cannot activate a form until and unless you have tightly coupled it with a webhook. So if you want to ensure that a form that you have created, you can save it, you can keep it in the draft state, but if you want to activate it and you want to actually add it in your pages through the components builder or the pages application, you have to ensure that a webhook has been attached to the form.
So what are the states of the form in that case? Because you're currently talking of draft, you're talking of save, you're talking of.
So it is save, then comes save and activate, then comes save and draft, and there are couple of options. I don't.
So basically, you create a form, you keep it in draft mode. Then do you need to like an approver process? The workflow is there for the forms?
No. Currently, the workflow is not there. But yes, there is an option to provide comments. Like what you would be doing is you would be creating a form. So let us take it in this way. The first step, when you arrive to the forms builder, the first step is to select the layout. There are 6 out of box layout that are available. Then you would be adding the items. With items we mean the fields, the different type of fields that are
and the data
available.
types,
Correct.
whatever you want.
Correct. So you don't have to set the data types.
Precise.
That
I mean,
is-
you need like single line text.
correct,
You add a
correct. So
text
you have
box.
to
You add a
just
label.
drag and drop. So
Drag
there
and
is a
drop,
drag and
yeah.
drop option,
Yeah.
and that also enhances the performance, and not only the performance, but it makes the life of marketing people easy, because there is no manual configuration that you have to do. They have also ensured that there is a number field, a phone field, and a single line text. So all the validations are automatically happening in the
Right.
background. Okay, so now coming to the steps. So once you assign the different fields in the form, then you would be styling them. Then there are multiple options that you can do. You can save the form, then you can pass it to someone who is actually going to review the form. Now if he finds that there is something that must be changed, he can add comments to it. So on the top there is a comments tab, and see, as we know about workflow was there in Sitecore, we are working with traditional XP experience. But think if a person is new to XM Cloud, right? He would just like to have a mechanism where he was able to review the form and then add the few comments to the developer or whoever who has actually created the form to update it accordingly. So that provision is still there. Along with the provision of adding the comments, we also have the provision to create the versions of the form.
Yep. Okay. So let's say I've created the form, I have added the fields, and then what after saying to publish?
Yes, so as soon as you would be going on the top right corner, there are different options to save and activate the form. The main one is save and activate, because without that it will not be available to be added to in your
Page.
pages, right? So when you click it, if you have not assigned a webhook, what it will do is it will show you an nice error message that this form cannot be published because this form cannot be activated because there is no webhook that has been attached
Right.
to it. Now that is an out of box validation that XM Cloud has already done, and so this becomes a mandatory step that without a webhook, and it completely makes sense, right? Like, why would we activate a form which is not performing anything on the submit action? You have to ensure that the data that has been collected in the form is sent somewhere else, right? So
Right.
that is where the webhook configuration comes.
So can we say initially what you had as a submit action
Yeah,
is what is a
precisely.
webhook now, right?
Precisely.
So
Yeah.
then why is submit action has been converted to a webhook? It's
Okay, that's a good question. Now, so what the developers or what the Sitecore XM Cloud team has must have thought of is uh, why to collect the data when you already have systems which are collecting the data. So if you compare it with traditional Sitecore XP, you have the submit action where the actual logic of what is to be done with the data that has been collected in the form was there, right?
yeah, yeah.
And the difference between that and the Sitecore forms is we do not store any kind of data. So Sitecore XM Cloud is not going to store any kind of data on behalf of you. Instead, they have provided you a mechanism of webhooks through which you will be getting that data, and once you receive that data, you can do n number of things from it. Now, as we are talking about the composable architecture, you can also create a webhook in Sitecore Connect itself, and through that you are going to get the data, and Sitecore Connect itself is a very powerful tool, right? What not you can do with Sitecore Connect? You can fire validations in it. You can ensure that an email is getting triggered, or you can also store the data at multiple locations through Sitecore Connect. And why this decision was taken of not storing the data and providing it to the webhooks is just because of the composable architecture and nothing else.
Right. So maybe webhook is just for funneling the data in and then
Yeah.
putting it wherever you want in whichever system you want.
We can
Right.
say that. Yep.
Yeah. So well, let's take a couple of use cases. How can the data be funneled into any other system through the webhooks? If you would like to.
Yeah, so there are basically four types of webhooks configuration that are available.
Yeah.
So the first one is OAuth, where it is a very well-known authentication provider. Second one is the basic authentication, where you have the username and password. The third one is through the API key, and the fourth one is no authentication at all, which is not recommended, of course.
For testing purposes only.
Correct. So there are four options that are available at the time of configuration of webhook. Now, according to your requirement, you can add the authentication provider for your webhook, and once that configuration is done, you have a test webhook option also. Now, what that option does is it will open the form in the pop-up model, just like the way it is going to appear on your actual page. You fill in the form, and when you are doing the submit button, there will be an additional screen that comes, and it will tell you it will show you all the payload that is actually going to be transmitted to the destination system through the webhook. It also shows the user IP and the different headers that are also going to be get passed in the webhook, and in this way you are not only able to seamlessly create the webhook but also test it at the same time, which ensures that once you publish your form, it is 100% going to work in on your actual site.
Well, I think one thing is pretty clear to me right now, that um, the way we used to have kind of custom submit actions, we can have multiple webhooks, but then we can only connect one webhook to one form.
Yes.
While initially we used to have, like, we could connect multiple submit actions.
Yes.
And of course, it is pretty logical, because once the HTTP request is sent,
Correct.
it is over. You know.
So what they have thought of is webhook is managed by us.
Yeah.
It can be a simple API.
Yeah.
It can be Sitecore Connect. It can be any third-party application.
Yeah.
Once you have the data with you, you can
Process
do
it any way
n
you want.
number of operations.
Precisely.
Why to do all the operations in the same submit action?
Exactly. It is a complete logical sense.
Correct.
Where you just submit it once, and then once you have the data, you can do whatever you want. And why
Manipulate.
duplicate it
Correct.
as well? Why not utilize it from the same source where you have it?
Yep.
All right. Well, as far as the fields go, can we create custom fields with XM Cloud Forms?
Yes, we had the option of creating the custom field. So what the custom field is like, if you want that the first name and last name fields are required in all of your forms, right? So normally what you will do is you will drag and drop the single line text box, the short text field, that is what they call it, and then you will go into the options of it, and then you will make the field required. Right? Same applies to the last name also. But now you already know that this is the by default nature of your form, that in all your forms you are going to have these two fields, and those are going to be required. You will just create a custom field there, and you will save it, and then it will show you at the bottom of the options that are available in items tab, and you can then just drag and drop that field also. So
Precisely. I mean, reutilizing the same
Yep.
fields that you are using, same fields, and still creating your custom fields as you want.
correct.
Well, all right. I think. Do you want to share anything extra other than these?
Yeah, there are n number of functionalities that we can talk on. Majorly, we have discussed that those are which are very important with respect to SM Cloud Forms. One another thing that I would just like to say is the difference between the checkbox group field, right? So if you remember how it was available in the traditional Sitecore way, we always had a data source item that
Correct.
that was been attached with the checkbox group, right?
Yeah.
Here that this is not the case. So here what they have is the custom set of values that would be sent to the destination system, of course again through the webhooks only. So which means that it is truly composable, it is truly SaaS environment. There is no dependency of either Sitecore items or any third party application. Everything related to the forms is being
Available in
configured
Forms
in the
itself.
forms builder only, which ensures that a single point of contact is there. To if you want to update anything, you have to go there only, and you have to just update the fields, and it will get reflected.
I just got one more question.
Yep.
Can we create multilingual forms?
No, currently it is not available. But of course we know that, as I said, right, change log is the place where you have to keep an eye. It will be available. I can see that after the launch of XM Cloud Forms, as I said, it got launched on January 25th, right? After the launch, there are multiple improvements that are still currently being integrated into the system, and one of it can be the multilingual support also.
Yeah, I think it is pretty obvious, right? Like whenever you are launching a product, you want to launch the minimum viable product.
Correct. Correct.
as an MVP,
MVP
first,
points.
and
Yep.
then keep adding features, and that is where the SaaS product or the SaaS platform comes into picture, where you
Yep.
really utilize that you launch a basic product, try it out in the market how it is going, and then based on the feedback, you just keep on improving it in spirals,
Yep. Agreed.
as feature improvements. Well, thank you, Akshay, for sharing the knowledge on XM Cloud Forms. Looks like you really boiled down to a lot of details here. And I think additionally, I would just like to recommend that if you have still not tried out XM Cloud Forms, it's maybe he's an inspiration that you try it out soon, and also refer to the documentation and different blogs that have been written by various community members to get started and do different stuff. But I believe that is the end of our episode today, and thank you for watching it, and thank you, Akshay, for your time. Always
You very
nice
much.
talking to you
Same here.
on
Same here.
technology. So looking forward for another podcast with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's all, my dear Sitecore friends, and that was Akshay for you.
Thank you.
Cheers.